Hello, hello. Welcome to a live deprogram with Keri Smith. I'm your host, Keri. Today is Monday, January 27th, and it's been an exciting week one. It's only been 1 week since the inauguration. It's a little hard for me to believe that because so much has happened. And if you're like me, maybe you've become exhausted with all the winning. I just feel like Trump hit the ground running. I'm very excited about almost everything that's happening. There's a couple of people that he selected for certain things that I'm not too happy with, but for the most part, all of the actions he's taken, I'm very happy with, and most of the people he selected, I'm happy with. There are a few exceptions. So, this is going to be maybe a celebratory kind of stream, but we're going to go through. It's also going to be useful, hopefully, to catalog just all the many things that they've done this week. Like they went in with a plan and they started enacting it immediately. And on inauguration day, Mike Harlow and I did a stream a week ago today on Monday to celebrate the inauguration. And just quick note, YouTube censored that video. They do this a lot lately. As soon as the live stream was over, they took the video down. They said I had a strike, and then I had to appeal, and then it was 3 or 4 days before the video was back up. This happens a lot lately where they try. I think it may be just the kind of a soft censorship sort of thing where they throttle views immediately afterwards, and then the video is back after it's no longer a new video. I don't know. But, we are simulcasting on Rumble. They never take things down. We're on Rumble if you hate YouTube. And anyway, it was a week ago today that Mike Harlow and I did that inauguration video. And after we ended it, or maybe like towards the end of that video, yeah, it was at the end of that video, someone in the chat told us, like, look, the inauguration just ended, but they've already closed one of the ports of entry in Texas at El Paso. And we're like, wow, what? On January 20th itself? And that wasn't all. He did so many things on his first day, January 20th, hit the ground running. It's very encouraging, it's inspiring, and so we're gonna go through a list. And I wanna thank first of all, I wanna thank Brahma Bull, who is usually, he's one of the panelists on Deprogrammed on that Christian panel every other week, and he has an excellent channel, Brahma Bull's channel. They have a political show called he and Little Chat called The Bullpen, and so I was able to be on that show for a second time yesterday, and they also covered, what is Trump, what are all the wins in week one, and that really helped me to prepare for today's episode. So if you haven't checked out the bullpen, go and check it out, Brahma Bull, and he also, I'm gonna be using the Daily Wire article. There are several articles, lots of different publications have put out, here's a list of all the wins in week one, but a lot of the leftists, the corporate, the corporate media, the propaganda press, they don't have exhaustive lists. I think part of that is because they don't even know what we view as a win. So they're they're sort of like, here's a list of like 3 things. And Daily Wire is an exhaustive list. So we're gonna go through their list of things so we don't miss anything, because you don't want to miss a thing. Okay, I'm in a good mood today because of all the wins. So Pirate Tomsky, we got a lot of mods here today. Teresa's here. Pirate Tomsky's here from all the way from the UK. Give it up for the pirate. He says Trump is literally living out the story arc of Return of the King. Yes, he's just getting shit done. He's getting shit done. It's amazing. Thank you for the super chat, Pirate Tomsky. Okay, I've got a quick announcement here. Let me put this up on the screen before we hop into this. This is the announcement. I've been mentioning this for the past week. There's a lot of knitters in the chat, even, who are probably going to be here. A lot of people are going to be in Texas this coming weekend for the Nitty McPurley knitting retreat. Now, I asked Nitty McPurley, do you need help moving tickets? And she was like, ha ha ha, we've been sold out for a long time. They're sold out. It's a very popular retreat. So if you got your passes, kudos to you, congratulations. And so if you're going to be in town, we're going to take advantage of so many knitters being in town. Ann Pinkova's coming from Politically Incorrect Knitters. She said, Keri, why don't we do a deprogrammed meetup? And that way we can just hang out with folks. There's going to be a break in the schedule for the knitting retreat. So this is what we're doing. If you're in the Dallas, Texas area, or if you want to travel there, you don't have to be a knitter. You if you're at the Deprogrammed fellowship and you want to come meet other people and hang out, this is the time to do it. And so we're going to be meeting up during a break in the Nitty McPurley knitting retreat. And here's the information on the screen. We're meeting at the Sweet Paris Creperie in Southlake, Texas. It's at 228 State Street on Saturday, February 1st at 12:30 p.m. And we'll be there for a few hours, probably having coffee and crepes and talking about all kinds of fun things. So, you don't have to be prompt at 12:30. Just come and find us. We'll be hard to miss. I'll be wearing a giant MAGA hat. I don't know what I'm wearing. I'm just kidding, but we'll see. I'll be one of the ladies in the hats. There'll be probably other ladies in hats. And yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to meet some of you in person for the first time and other people to see you again. So I hope you guys will come out Saturday, February 1st. Okay, that's the info. Let me take that down. Squat and pee. Not a knitter, but thinking about it. I've only made chunky blankets. Well, I don't know if you're thinking about coming to the retreat or if you're thinking about knitting, but either one, it's a new year. Do it. And if you need help with knitting, the ladies at Politically Incorrect Knitters, Blocked Magazine, all those folks, they're always so welcoming and encouraging to remedial knitters like myself. So hit them up if you need tips or advice. Yeah. Also, I wanted to say a quick thank you to Texas Sheep Lady who sent me some wool socks for this cold weather, and I really appreciate it. I saw your name in there and I was like, I got those socks. And you know that it was freezing in my house, so I really appreciate those socks. I hope you do make it to the meetup, Texas Sheep Lady. Okay. Hey, the 286 Project is here. This is my friend Chris. You guys go check out his channel. He's awesome. John Burcham, come to England. You know what, John, next time we've talked about it. My husband, we're pretty blessed because we get to travel a lot with his music, with what he does for a living. And the last 2 times we've been to Europe, we haven't been able to fit in the UK, but we're going to try. I'm definitely like, hopefully next time we go, we could squeeze that in. I'll let you guys know. Okay, here we go. We're going to do it. We're doing it. Let's go through this list. Oh man. Actually, let's start off with a fun video. I just want to start off with this one. Now, we're going to show the full context of this later, but this clip just made me smile so much. And actually, it was little Chad Brahma Bull who showed me this. So I don't know if you've seen some of the ICE raids that are happening where they are targeting violent offenders, violent criminals who also happen to be illegal aliens, and ICE has been honing in on them in particular in a lot of major cities. And so we're going to watch some of the footage from one of the journalists a journalist who was embedded with them in, I think it was in the Boston raids. And it's just insane footage of these criminals that they're arresting. And this one guy started screaming. We'll see the whole context, but they should just clip this and make it the next during the next election season, for the next campaign. They should make it a campaign ad, because it's this repeat offender, a violent offender who's already been deported once, I believe. They arrested him and he starts screaming at the news camera, I'm not going back to Haiti. I'm not going back to Haiti. And he's saying stuff like, F you, Trump. I love Joe Biden. I love Obama. And it's like, wow, you couldn't make a better ad for not voting for Democrats. This violent offender who's saying thank you to the people who let me continue to come here illegally and to commit violent crimes, and F you, Trump, for following the law and doing what should be done. So somebody cut this funny video though, and let me just show you this because it makes me laugh. Okay, you got your volume. I've got my volume turned up, and okay, I have to get rid of that knitting thing to show you. Here we go. It's really short.
I'm not going back to Haiti.
Well, he's wrong. He's going back to Haiti.
Come on.
I love it. It's like the old school Thug Life videos where they would do those short clips of Trump saying something and then drop in the shades and it would say Thug Life. And those are so hard to find nowadays because with YouTube's new algorithm in the past few years, you have to sort through like 6 pages of their authoritative sources, their crap propaganda sources. So it's like all seeing it. I'm like, no, I'm looking for Thug Life. Why can't I find these funny clips? Anyway, that was so funny. That's the new border czar, Tom Homan, who's very matter of fact guy. He's the goat. He says no, he's wrong. He's going back to Haiti. And yeah, that makes me laugh. I love it. Okay. Yeah, JB. I love Tom Homan. He's the best. Okay, let's pull up this list. Let's get through it because it's a lot of stuff. I can't believe everything he's done in week 1. This is from the Daily Wire. Here's everything Trump did his first week back. And as I said, this is a very comprehensive list. So, President Donald Trump began a second term this week with an explosion of actions, spending his first few days in office going full speed on his agenda and reversing the work of his predecessor. The dizzying march of executive orders, presidential pardons, firings of Biden appointees, calls with foreign leaders, and visits to disaster zones. All of this in a week started immediately after the inauguration on Monday, and the breakneck pace did not let up for the rest of the week. On day 1, Trump signed more than 36 executive orders on the southern border, gender ideology, American energy, the economy, and other issues. He's like, day 1, he's like, let's do it. We said we're making America great again. Let's do it. Somebody in the bullpen chat yesterday said that the executive office, that desk probably hadn't seen that much action since Bill Clinton was there. And that was there's a funny in there somewhere. You have to find it. Okay. In a flurry of orders on immigration, his signature issue, Trump took several drastic actions. The president declared a national emergency at the southern border. Okay, let's start with this is the border stuff. They have a whole section here. In a flurry of orders on immigration, his signature issue, Trump took several drastic actions. Number 1, he declared a national emergency at the southern border. He deployed thousands of troops there. He ordered construction of the border wall, and he ordered Homeland Security to do their freaking job, and to start removing illegal migrants and go after the drug cartels, which he also designated the drug cartels as terrorists, which they are. The executive orders also blocked all illegal entries, including asylum seekers and refugees, shut down the CBP One app, beefed up visa screenings, and attempted to end birthright citizenship for the children of immigrants, of non-citizens, of illegal immigrants, which is already facing legal challenges. That part, of course, that would be. So this part, I want to go back. We're going to look at some of this in more detail, but let's just finish this section. Quote, all illegal entry will be immediately halted, and we will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came, Trump said in his inaugural remarks after taking the oath of office. Thank you. Trump also, get this, he also threatened to prosecute officials and strip funding from sanctuary cities and states that refuse to cooperate with deportations, which have already begun. Less than 48 hours after Trump was sworn in, ICE had already arrested more than 460 illegal migrants. This is all it took. It's like he basically said, okay, ICE, you can do your job now. We're gonna let you. Imagine that. A federal government that allows you to do your job. Meanwhile, the Department of Homeland Security reinstated the term illegal alien. This is one of the most important parts of the immigration thing, aside from the actual boots on the ground and the work that he's doing to deport these criminal illegal aliens. This is one of the most important parts because this is how they take over and destroy a successful, democratic republic like the United States. It's how they destroy it over time. They don't need our Constitution if they have the dictionary and they change the meaning of words. If they change the meaning of words. And this is one of the woke incursions that has happened at every level of government, that's happened in all of our major institutions, in education, in academia, in entertainment, in hobbies, in crafts, is they go in and they bring in their cult language. Orwell wrote about this frequently. The way that you control people is you control their thoughts. And how do you control their thoughts and what they're allowed to think and what they think about things? You control their language. You start with the language. You restrict their language. You tell them certain things they can't say. You come up with new words. You come up with new phrases. You redefine old words to mean something else, to mean something ridiculous. You suck the meaning dry out of some words. And so this is one of the things they did. Can you even believe this? They did this under Mayorkas in the Biden administration. I'm going to share this tab for a second. This is from the New York Post. Trump admin reinstates the word alien. Yes, that's what they are. That's precise terminology. That's not brainwashing cult speak. It's not religious cult speak. It's actual precise terminology. They are illegal aliens. The Trump admin reinstates the word alien over undocumented non-citizen. I'll tell you how deep this goes and how far back this goes. Back when I was in the woke cult, and probably this would have been around 2000, probably around 2009 or 10. I'm trying to remember exactly when it was. I participated in this with some comedians who I worked with, who they all did woke comedy, and we were creating a documentary series that was supposed to be all about pushing woke ideology is what it was with comedy, like pushing brainwashing with comedy. That's what it was. And as part of this series, part of the filming, we went down to the border with a leftist organization and we watched a deportation hearing. We went to the wall. We did a bunch of things. And we got the comedians on camera doing a lot of this stuff. And one of the organizations we were working with, they had this campaign that I participated in afterwards, where they would send us things to do and things for the artists, the comedians, the musicians, like all the people in the entertainment industry that you might work with if you have one of these positions. They would send you not just talking points, but things they could do and encourage other people to do. And one of the big things they were doing around that time, and I participated in this around 2009 or 10 or so, was to write. To go through, they would go through and highlight any instance in the news, any instance where a journalist had used the phrase illegal or alien or illegal alien, and they had already cherry picked it and did pull quotes. So you didn't even have to do the work yourself. They would send it to you and say, here's a list, here's the contact info. We're going to do letter writing campaigns to all of these journalists and all of these press outlets and tell them that it's racist and dehumanizing to call people illegals or illegal aliens, to call them aliens, and that they have to replace their language, change their language, and call them undocumented Americans. Do you see how that's about brainwashing the way you think about these people? That you stop to think about, they want you to ignore the fact that they're breaking the law. They want you to start to think of them as, well, they're already Americans. They're just undocumented. It's a sleight of hand. It's a manipulation. It's a cult tactic. It's a brainwashing tactic. And we did letter writing campaigns like that all the time. The woke leftists, and look, flash forward all these years later, and you've got the Biden admin doing this crap. It just blows my mind that it reached that level of influence and power, where you had the Biden admin, Mayorkas, going in and changing the language. So here, let me read this article. Trump admin reinstates the word alien over undocumented non-citizen. The term illegal alien is official government terminology again, after the new acting head of the Department of Homeland Security scrapped confusing euphemisms like undocumented non-citizen. What the F does that mean? It means they're illegally here. They're not legal immigrants. They're illegal immigrants. They're illegal aliens. So scrapped confusing euphemisms like undocumented non-citizen and integration. Integration. Words like alien were banned under Biden. Were banned, and politically correct language was mandated by the Biden administration as it presided over an unprecedented surge of illegal border crossings. But acting DHS Secretary Benjamin C. Huffman has wasted no time overturning the Orwellian edict of his predecessor, Alejandro Mayorkas, and has reinstated precise terminology as defined in immigration law. I love it that the New York Post correctly identified this as Orwellian, what they were doing. It's just like in, as I said, Orwell wrote about this a lot in his nonfiction about controlling people by controlling thoughts, by controlling language, but he also wrote about it in his fiction. And his most popular work that everyone's heard of is 1984. And this is what was happening in that dystopian future society. Is they were calling things the opposite of what they were. They were manipulating people's thoughts and controlling people with language. And so they were calling, the Ministry of Truth, for example, the Ministry of Truth, what their job was to push propaganda, just like our journalists today, just like our media today, our corporate press, just like our government in large part has been doing. But the Ministry of Truth pushed propaganda, just like Mayorkas was doing, just like Biden was doing, calling illegal immigrants, illegal aliens, undocumented Americans, undocumented non-citizens. It's Orwellian. Quote, "It is not the role of the department or its components to substitute alternative politically charged terminology in our official documents for terminology used by Congress and statutes signed by the President of the United States," he wrote. This is the new head of the DHS. Quote, "The department and all components shall adhere to statutory language, which is precise and defined by Congress. For example, the term alien is defined in Section 101 of the Immigration and Nationality Act as, quote, the term alien means any person not a citizen or national of the United States. Under the Biden administration, U.S. Citizen and Immigration Services, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and U.S. Customs and Border Protection offices were instructed to replace terms like alien with non-citizen and assimilation with integration. Huffman has rescinded all of those memos, guidance, and any other directives that directed personnel to avoid using language that is included in immigration law, including illegal alien. Can you imagine what this is how thorough the decay, the destruction was. Is not only were, ICE was not allowed to do its job, but people who work for ICE, they weren't allowed to do their job. They were also instructed to do the exact opposite. They were instructed to use language that contributed to the brainwashing and the destruction of the idea that there even is something that's illegal about crossing the border without following the process and the law of the land. They were contributing to that, to this open borders utopia, this ridiculous open borders. The ICE was being forced to use language that presented this false idea that there's nothing illegal about coming in illegally. I just had to highlight that part because I think it's so important. Of all the things I'm happy about, let's put this right up there. And this is in the top 3. Taking the border seriously, declaring an emergency, directing ICE to do its job, working on the wall, deploying troops, starting to deport illegal aliens by focusing on those who are violent criminal offenders, which what were they doing sitting here anyway? and going after the language. It's not enough to tell them to do their job. You have to root this cancer, this woke cancer, out of all of the government. You have to root it out. And so that's what they're doing with the language edict. I love it. Hey, Michelle. Of course, the Light Entertainment is here. Michelle is also a member of the Christian panel, that Christian panel, which we do every other week. One of my favorite humans. Thank you for gifting the membership, Michelle. And Pirate Tomsky, give it up for the Brit. The Brit gifted 10 deprogrammed memberships. So if you got one of those, tell the pirate R, and thank you. Okay, let's return to this list. Actually, no, this is a good time for the video since we're talking about the immigration thing. Hold on. I'm going to try to. There we go. I'm going to make it larger so we can see the whole thing. Now, this is the Fox News embed. This is the Fox News outlet that embedded with ICE for some of the raids in Boston.
I'm not going back to Haiti.
One of those threats is this illegal alien from Haiti. ICE says he's a gang member with 17 criminal convictions in recent years.
Trump, you feel me? Yo, Biden forever, bro. Thank Obama for everything that he did for me, bro.
Cut that right there. He says, F Trump, thank Joe Biden forever, F Trump, thank Obama for everything that he did for me. That's what this violent, repeat offender, gang member, illegal alien is saying. F Trump, Biden forever, thank Obama for everything he did for me. Cut that, put it in an ad for the next election.
ICE Boston quickly takes down its next targets, including this illegal alien from Brazil who has an Interpol red notice for armed robbery. This Salvadoran illegal alien charged locally with rape and released by a sanctuary jurisdiction.
Señor, ¿cómo se llama?
And this Dominican illegal alien.
Can you believe that? Let's just charged with rape and released because of some sanctuary jurisdiction BS in Boston. If these people were not illegal aliens, would they be treated so with such, I don't know, pampering? If you're charged with rape and you're not an illegal alien, is the process different?
Charged with assault with a deadly weapon and heroin trafficking. Officers also arrested this Guatemalan MS-13 gang member facing gun charges. ICE says he was released from local custody just the day before. Their detainer request was...
Can you, again, MS-13 gang member and known illegal alien, they arrested him on gun charges, known MS-13 gang, and they're like, oh, I'm going to let him go. What? He's not a danger to the American public. What? These guys must be so happy they can finally do their job.
Was ignored because of sanctuary policies. And in a
sanctuary policies. This is why it's so important that Trump said, we're going to prosecute you if you are a sanctuary city or sanctuary state that refuses to cooperate with deportations.
Sign of shifting priorities with the new Trump administration. This man, who was in the same apartment as the target, was also arrested after ICE determined he's also in the U.S. illegally. This is what ICE calls collateral.
So you guys got your main target just now, but you got somebody else. What just happened?
So our main target was released by a sanctuary jurisdiction, not honoring a detainer. That person was released back into the community, and when we went to go find him, he's with somebody else who was previously removed from the United States. So he's going to go today too.
And that is exactly what Border Czar Tom Homan has warned would happen.
When we find the bad guy, he's probably with others that are in the United States illegally. They may not be a criminal priority, but we're not walking away from them.
ICE Boston says they will continue to go into sanctuary jurisdictions and do their job.
Today was a good day.
I love this. I love everything about this. All these people, let me tell you, they are going to come hard. There's going to be a huge psyop. The mainstream media, the corporate press, the propaganda machine is going to do everything they did during the COVID years where they tried to use emotional manipulation, they used the tactics of sociopaths. You remember when they called everybody grandma killer if you didn't get the jab, and if you opposed authoritarian mask mandates and vax mandates, they called you grandma killer. They said you're horrible, you don't deserve to be able, you shouldn't be able to go to the hospital, you shouldn't be treated like other people, you should have to wear something that designates, put a star on you or something, put something on your passport so you'll be treated differently, segregated from society, right? Like, remember when they did all of that? They're going to start doing the same thing around immigration enforcement. They're going to start saying, I've already seen these ridiculous memes on Facebook. That's where they start. And it's all these memes talking about like illegal aliens, like these violent criminal offenders who are being rounded up by ICE finally and deported. It's like they're just like Anne Frank. They're really posting this. And you guys are horrible people. You guys are horrible people because you want ICE to do their job. You're just like the people who killed Anne Frank. That's what I'm seeing. Don't fall for this crap. Don't let them emotionally manipulate you like an abuser. Laugh at them and tell them that doesn't work on me. That doesn't work on me. Keep going. Keep going with your BS. But that's going to be like, get ready, because they're starting to, the narratives, and they're starting to put out the memes and the propaganda and saying you're all horrible people because you want these violent gang members, murderers, rapists, who are also illegal aliens, to be sent back to their country.
Today, we took several significant public safety threats out of our communities. Unfortunately, a lot were released by sanctuary policies, but we're here to tell the Commonwealth and the rest of the country that we're going to find them whether they're released or not.
And guys, shortly after we finished filming, ICE Boston told us they arrested 2 more targets in other parts of town away from our cameras. One of those targets is a previously deported Honduran illegal alien who was arrested for raping a woman while putting a gun in her mouth. The other target they got is a Haitian man who first flew into the United States in 2023 as part of President Biden's controversial migrant flights mass parole program.
Migrant flights mass parole program. This is what the previous administration was doing. Not only were they hamstringing ICE, not allowing them to do their job, directing them to do the opposite, but they were busing in, they were flying in these violent criminals, these illegal aliens, and setting them up in the US. Migrant flights mass parole program. Incredible.
Well, they just picked him up yesterday because he's been arrested locally for sexual assault. We'll send it back to you.
Bill Malhusian, it was fascinating to watch all of that. I think I was just saying to Bill, this is terrible for Joe Biden and the legacy that he tried to leave behind.
This is a win. This is what should have been happening all along. I wanted to point out something in the chat really quickly. I don't want to get too off topic, but I agree with you. Says, wins, I can't get past the overwhelming surveillance and pharmacy AI structure or alliance with technocracy. Look, I agree with you. It's a subject for another day. I have a lot of I'm very hesitant to even use any kind of AI. I know I'm already part of the problem because I use social media and all this other stuff, but I had a friend the other day was like, hey, you can learn how to use AI and it'll help you do da 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 da. And I was like, you assume that I'm going to sit down and download some AI program. I'm not going to. I'm just very skeptical of all of it, but that's a subject for another day. These are still wins though, even with that looming issue and scary prospect out there. These are the basic fundamental protections for a society, and we're starting to see an administration that believes in reinstating these again, and so that's a win. It's like, wow, imagine that, having a president who's like, hey, instead of importing illegal immigrants and settling them up here in the US, even though they're here illegally, many of whom are violent criminals, rapists and murderers. What if we like round them up and deport them? Like, it's a win. Brahma Bull, good to see you, sir. I'm using that article, as I mentioned at the beginning, that you sent me, and I had a great time on your show yesterday with you and little Chad in the bullpen. Brahma Bull says they will start calling for people to escort illegals that they know and to be armed while doing it. They will try to use human shields and cause an escalation. You're predicting it, and I think you're right. I think that we're going to see, one of my friends, Frank McCormick on X, said yesterday, I think they're going to try and look for them to try and create some kind of Jorge Floyd moment, like a George Floyd moment, a Jorge Floyd moment. They're going to try and create something like that so they can push for social unrest again, for leftists to be in the streets committing violent acts, burning down cities, killing people, attacking people. Like, they're going to try and push for something. So yes, I anticipate something like this happening. I even, to back up what you're saying, I saw in one of these leftist groups on Facebook yesterday, and one of these memes where they were posting this ridiculous stuff that, hey, you know, deporting violent criminal offenders who are illegal aliens is just like killing Anne Frank. You know, they were posting that kind of a meme. And in the comments, all these leftists, these so-called anti-gun leftists, you know, the ones who want to disarm citizens, law-abiding citizens, they want the government, they want authoritarianism, they want tyranny, they want the power of government to come in and disarm citizens. They were in the comments, these leftists, talking about, I'm going to buy a gun I'm going to arm myself. We all need to buy guns. I'm like, wow, I guess that went out the window. Be the change you want to see in the world, leftists. Be the change you want to see in the world. You don't think that citizens should be able to own firearms? Be the change. Don't own one then. Friggin' hypocrites. But yes, I think that they're going to try and do something violent. Okay. Sci-fi. Hey, Sci-fi. For me, TV is here. Did you see Selena Gomez's crying fit? I didn't, but I'm bookmarking this so I can, if there's time, I'll pull it up later. Little ragamuffin. Hey, lady. Good to see you. She says, I'm asking AI, when should the Christmas decoration come down? Let me just say something. We had guests here this month and we left it up for them. And then we had a church feast here on Friday. So we left the Christmas decorations up for them. This is my excuse anyway. And now it's coming down this week. It's finally coming down. But I haven't had time. I work in a bunch of different gig jobs now. I was making furniture this morning. I don't have time. I got to make furniture tomorrow. I got I'm bartending, and it'll probably come down on Wednesday. That's the answer. I love it. I knew. I was like, someday soon, somebody's going to say, Keri, why do you still have that Christmas tree? Lily of the Fox Valley, as long as your Christmas decor is down by the time Lent begins, you're good. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for the pass. Okay. We've got one other, since we're showing the immigration stuff. Let me just show you this. So Fox wasn't the only news outlet that embedded with ICE. This is one of the best. You guys know that Dr. Phil has gotten super based, and I love it. I'm loving it. Dr. Phil embedded with ICE in Chicago. And you know that things have gotten bad. You know the world is falling apart when Dr. Phil gets based and starts doing programming that's about the cultural destruction, the destruction of all of our traditions and norms and our safety and security and all of our laws. And so this is Dr. Phil out on the streets in Chicago. Dr. Phil stunned as a legal migrant makes shocking admission while being detained by border czar Tom Homan as ICE arrests 956. An illegal immigrant who's been convicted of child sex crimes shocked Dr. Phil when he told him that he was, quote, not really a sex offender as he was taken into custody by immigration enforcement officers. The TV host, 74 years old, was embedded with Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE officers and Donald Trump's border czar Tom Homan as they rounded up undocumented migrants in Chicago on Sunday. Look at this. Look at the Daily Mail still using that woke brainwashing cult speak. Undocumented migrants. It's illegal aliens. Thanks, Daily Mail. Illegal aliens. Since Trump took office, he quickly moved to ramp up deportations and increase the number of immigration enforcement raids across the nation. ICE made 956 arrests on Sunday, the largest single-day number since Trump's inauguration. Dr. Phil grilled the detainee as he stood handcuffed in the street. Video of the man's arrest revealed. Let's see if we can get this to play. I was having trouble with it earlier, but we'll see.
What's your name?
Oh, there we go.
Jada what? You have a person that name?
Sam.
Jada Sam?
Yes.
Where are you from?
Where I was born or where I'm from?
Where are you born?
Thailand.
You've been deported before from the United States?
No.
Never been deported?
I've been in the system before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What have you been charged with
Charge where?
before?
I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna talk about lawyer.
Yeah. Are you a citizen?
My mom says that.
Your mother's a citizen,
Yes.
but you're not?
Nope.
But you've never been deported before?
You Dr. Phil. You look like Dr. Phil.
Yeah? How do you know me?
No, I seen Dr. Phil, on TV.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is an example of sanctuary cities, right? We got an illegal alien convicted of sex crimes involving children. And he's walking the streets of Chicago. Again, the downfall, the problem with the sanctuary city, that people like us walking the street rather than local law enforcement working with federal agents. This is what we're dealing with. Yeah. You've been charged with sex crimes with children?
Not really.
Not really.
And never been deported?
Nope.
Huh. Let's take them in and process and lock them up.
Got it, sir.
All right. Can you get a passport?
Working on it. Okay.
Just the language, the look that Dr. Phil gives the camera, like, he didn't ask, "Are you guilty of it?" He said, "Have you been charged with this?" Which it's a fact that this guy's been charged for sex crimes against children, and the guy says, "Not really." Like, what? Somebody says, Kevin Anderson says, "Hey, it's not a sex crime if you don't think so." I guess. The reason I mostly showed that clip was just to show you Dr. Phil out on the mean streets participating with ICE, and I love this alternative reality that we're in, this alternate reality where Dr. Phil is like he's doing hard-hitting, he's doing better journalism than the mainstream propaganda crap. Like, he's out on the streets like, let's look at who's really being deported, instead of sharing all these memes and crying stuff about like, these violent offenders are just like Anne Frank, Ehef, thank you for the super chat for $10. Ehef says, DEI isn't going away. You should talk to Kirsch about Bridge. It's the next form. Geeks and Gamers knows her. Dr. Phil is a fun curveball. Yes, he is. Yeah, I'm not one of those people who, after Trump won, was declaring woke to be dead. I saw a bunch of that nonsense going around. It's not dead, but it's certainly a victory. It's certainly a victory in the war, in the culture war. It's a victory against woke. And also, I think it tells you a little bit about the cultural tide turning in terms of like normies and people who've been on the fence. I do think the tide is turning against woke slowly. And so it was very encouraging, the Trump win. One of the reasons it was encouraging is because what it potentially means about the future of woke ideology. But I agree with you, it's not dead, and it's going to be hard to root it out because, as you've seen, like you say, it's not going away. I couldn't agree more. They changed the words. It's all like cults. Again, it's all about language control. So you can push this ideology, push thought control on people. And so the minute, like, think about the word woke itself. It used to be that this ideology was mostly identified as social justice ideology. When I first left it, when I first started speaking against it, it was mostly known as social justice ideology. But then woke became the most used term, the colloquial way of referring to social justice ideology. And it became the most well-known term. And it was so effective, much more effective than social justice had been at identifying what we were talking about and criticizing. And because it was so effective, they immediately tried to jump up off of it and say, you can't, and don't use that as a pejorative. And, they tried to lessen its effectiveness by falsely claiming that, people were using it to mean anything they don't like, which is not true. They're using it specifically to mean the social justice belief system. And they will move away from words, and they will start using other words if they find that one has become sort of targeted or has become a hot button thing, or people are noticing it. Like, look at how they tried to move away from critical race theory, how they tried to move away from, like you said, they're trying to move away from DEI, but they want to keep the concepts and just rename it. They want to keep the concepts and rename it. Thank you for the super chat. I completely agree with you. I will look up bridge. Pirate Tomsky for £5. Thank you, Pirate, for the super chat. Says Tom Homan reminds me of the librarian lieutenant from Seinfeld. Hard ass all the way. I don't even remember that character, Pirate. I got to go back and watch it now. He's such a great hard ass. Okay. Let's return to, now that we've seen some videos of what's happening with the deportations, let's return to this list because there's a lot more. And all we've covered is the immigration so far. Here we go. One of Trump's biggest moves of his first day and week was granting pardons to nearly 1,600 people charged in connection with the January 6th riot at the Capitol. So a lot of these people had been held. Some of these people have been held in prison this whole time. So he gave immediate pardons to those almost 1,600 people. Most of the defendants received full pardons. Not all of them. This is something you won't hear the leftists clarify when they criticize this action. Not all of them received full pardons. 14 members of the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers who were convicted of seditious conspiracy, they got their sentences commuted. So it wasn't a full pardon. The Justice Department was directed to dismiss any pending indictments related to the riot. I have something to say about this. The thousands of people who were arrested on Inauguration Day and all the Inauguration Day riots of 2016. Do you remember that? They were setting limousines on fire. They were breaking cars. We looked at some of that violent footage last week. All the leftists who were trying to set the city on fire, who were destroying businesses, who were destroying private property in such a large scale way. All of those people, remember, all of them, all the ones arrested, had their charges dismissed by the Biden administration. So any of these leftists who are trying to get all high and mighty with you about the J6 pardons, ask them what they think about that. I mean, I'm just curious. Do you have the same standard? You set the precedent. You set a precedent, and then you get pissed when people do the same thing, but you do it. And how many times have we told you that you don't want to set a bad precedent because then the tables might get turned and it'll get done to you, or it'll get done by a party that you don't like, or it'll get done for people that you don't like. On Thursday, Trump pardoned. Oh, and let's talk about the worst pardon for just a second. Those who are pissed about the J6 pardons. Hello, Fauci. On his way out the door, Biden pardoned Fauci for any possible future prosecutions that might happen. Any future prosecutions. He pre-pardoned him for anything that might come to light that he might be convicted for. He pardoned him in advance. And he pardoned him for any crimes that he committed stretching all the way back to 2014, I believe it was. He wanted to cover any crimes in that window of time that Fauci committed. Egregious crimes against the American people. And you're upset about some grandmas who entered the Capitol on January 6th. Please. On Thursday, Trump also pardoned 23 pro-life protesters prosecuted by the Biden administration, including a woman in her 70s and the mother of a 2-year-old who were both imprisoned. You guys are mad about this, leftists. You're mad about this. But Fauci, crimes against humanity, that's cool. Relatedly, 2 more executive orders ban the weaponization of the federal government against political opponents, including censorship of free speech, and they direct investigations into past government misconduct. I want to pull this one up. I just love the names of some of these too. Here, this is one of the executive orders mentioned. Restoring freedom of speech and ending federal censorship. Executive order dated January 20th, 2025. By the authority vested in me as president, by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, et cetera, et cetera. And then here he goes. The First Amendment to the United States Constitution, an amendment essential to the success of our republic, enshrines the right of the American people to speak freely in the public square without government interference. You know, everything that came to light in the Twitter files and the Facebook files and in Mark Zuckerberg's testimony before Congress about how the Biden administration, the federal government, interfered with the First Amendment rights, interfered with the free speech rights of Americans by directing the heads and the staff of social media companies to censor news, to censor information, to censor stories that they didn't like, to censor and to ban doctors and scientists that who were saying things they didn't like about COVID policy, to censor Americans and to cut off their ability to speak freely on these platforms. The federal government under the Biden administration was responsible for this. They did this. It's a neat little trick to get around First Amendment protections if you go to the heads of major corporations whose product is basically a digital public square, and to direct them through your 3-letter government agencies to direct those companies to censor Americans for you, to censor news stories for you. That's what they were doing. This is one of the biggest wins. I see all these confused people who believe all the crap, the propaganda that's spewed by the corporate media. I believe all the crap that was coming out of the Biden administration for the past 4 years. They're always asking questions like the ones who are in good faith. I know people in real life who are still under the spell of all that nonsense and who, a lot of them had questions about why Trump won. I tried to do some videos about that. I had some friends abroad in Europe who had questions about, why would you vote for Trump? They were confused. Why did you vote for him? Why would people vote for him? They didn't understand. This is one of the biggest reasons. How can you be a liberal or think you're a liberal and be cool with the party that is doing the most to push censorship, the most to push authoritarianism and to restrict individual rights and liberty and to restrict free speech, who's using the full force of government, the boot on the throat, to censor Americans? How could you be cool with that and call yourself a liberal? Of course I was going to vote for Trump. Of course. There's no way I would vote for more of that. This is huge. Some of those same people, they're like, now, a week after the inauguration, are you happy? Are you happy with what you're getting? Yes, I'm so happy. Some of them are posting memes like they're like, I hope the price of eggs was worth it. I'm like, what? As if I'm upset about something? What? You don't know us at all. You don't know anything. You're so brainwashed. You're in the cult. You don't know what's up and what's down. You think we're upset about like this week? No. We're thrilled. We're over the moon. This is what I voted for. Do you understand? I voted against the censorship coming out of the Biden administration, the authoritarianism coming out of the Biden administration. I voted for a return to free speech values. Yeah, thank you. They don't get us at all. No buyer's remorse here, says Ignatz. Yeah, no buyer's remorse here at all. Nobody could accuse leftists of knowing too much, says Godzilla. No, they have no clue what they're talking about. Even their memes don't hit because they don't even know. They don't know what we think or what we're like. Yeah, have you seen those studies? I've read these studies that are so interesting. I mentioned them before, where so if they do a survey of people who identify as or call themselves like Democrats and call themselves Republicans, okay, or call themselves liberals and call themselves conservatives, there's always been this gap in understanding of the quote unquote other side. So there's always been this real lack of an ability to correctly articulate what people on the so-called other side believe. But in the past, I think it's like 15 years, I'd have to look at the studies again. That gap has gotten so much larger for people who call themselves Democrats or call themselves liberals. It's remained pretty steady for people who call themselves conservatives or Republicans in terms of what they don't know about the other side. But for leftists, they can't articulate even the bare bones of what people on the so-called right believe. They have no idea, let alone what a disaffected liberal like myself believes or thinks. They have no idea. They can't articulate it. Their stereotype, their straw man doesn't hit. It doesn't land. When they try to attack you with this caricature of what they think you are, it doesn't hit. It doesn't hurt because it's so far removed from, there has to be some truth in it for it to hurt. Do you know what I mean? It's so far removed. It's this ridiculous scarecrow that they're aiming at. And you're like, that bears no resemblance to reality of what we think. So you're going to attack somebody who believes all that. That's great because I don't believe any of that. Okay, go attack it. Those aren't my beliefs. That's kind of funny. Oh, my husband's here. He's commuting. Hey, don't text and drive, babe. He's commuting to a gig. Good to see you, Anthony. Randy Wallen. Hey, Randy, for $10. Thank you for the super chat. Randy says Trump needs to stay on the offensive, get inside the left's OODA loop and keep them confused and flailing. Get JD Vance on every Sunday show. Keep pardoning, keep arresting, push, 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 winning. I couldn't agree more. Stay on the offensive. Keep this momentum up. I love it. And then John Thomas for $20. Thank you, John, for the super chat. John says a lot of people are under the misapprehension that the media companies were okay censoring because they're a private business. In this case, that's not true. When they acted at the behest of the state, they became state agents. That's correct. I agree. Everybody, remember when the leftists were saying it's a private company? They were kind of throwing conservatives' beliefs or libertarians' beliefs back at them. And they were saying, oh, I thought you believed that private companies can do what they want. We do believe that. But they kept saying that. And it's like, yeah, but it's at the behest of the state. The state is ordering them to do this. So it is a First Amendment violation. It's a neat little workaround, isn't it? John Thomas, I'm looking for your second one. Let's see. Okay, let's continue. We're going to get back to the list of things. I just wanted to highlight the free speech one, that executive order for a second, but let's turn back. Okay. Another day one order addresses gender ideology. Okay, we're getting into the gender stuff, the biological sex stuff. Another day one order addresses gender ideology, which became a hot button issue during the election. Do you know why? Because woke ideologues pushed it to be a hot button issue in the past 15 years by targeting children, mostly children who are non gender conforming, kids who have autism, kids who have one or more comorbidities, mental health issues, kids who've been abused. They targeted kids for manipulation, grooming, brainwashing, and abuse, which included sterilizing children who are not old enough to consent, mutilating children, performing surgeries that cannot be reversed on children to remove their genitals. It's evil. And this gets to the heart of cults again and what they do. We already have laws on the books that say you can't abuse children. Your parental rights end right at the line of abuse. You don't have a right to abuse your kids. And so what did they do? Like a good cult, they came up with a clever name for it. It's not abuse. It's gender affirming care. It's not a double mastectomy on a child. It's gender affirming care. We're not castrating 11-year-old boys. We're providing gender affirming care. The order, so Trump's order, officially recognizes sex as biological, either male or female. The order reverses allowing people to change their gender on passports. Thank you, Trump. Bans federal funds from promoting gender ideology or paying for medical gender transitions for prison inmates. Thank you, Trump. All those crazy states like California, Gavin Newsom and his crazy California Republic, where he has California taxpayers, okay, paying for murderers and rapists to get sex change operations. Like, so if you go and murder or rape and you get convicted of it and you get separated from society because you're a danger to the rest of society, you get rewarded by society paying for you to have a sex change operation. So then you can get put into a women's prison and you can continue your predation. So Trump bans that. He bans federal funds for that anyway. Federal funds. I guess Gavin Newsom can keep collecting his California state tax dollars from. How long are you guys in California going to put up with that crap? So Trump bans federal funds from promoting gender ideology or paying for medical gender transitions for prison inmates, and protects women and girls from trans-identifying men in women's prisons, rape shelters, and intimate spaces. This is a huge win. Trump also took an axe to DEI, an axe to diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives with several actions. This is one of the best parts. Every part is like the best part. I don't know what I'm happier about. It's all of it. Immigration, the DEI stuff, the gender ideology stuff, all of it. In one order, he scrapped all government DEI programs. He got rid of all this racist crap in the government that Biden had put in with executive orders. None. Enough. He scrapped all government DEI programs and put their staff on leave. Hit the road, Jack. Trump also rescinded an executive order from President Lyndon Johnson that had mandated affirmative action by government contractors. You know what that is? It's legalized racist discrimination and sex-based discrimination. That's what it is. And even if you believed, if you're one of those people who considers yourself a liberal and you think, well, that was necessary at the time, we had to use legalized racism and sexism in order to correct for previous historical racism and sexism, we had to do it, right? Even if you're one of those people who believes that, you're living in crazy town if you think we still need to be doing that. Even if you buy into that and think, oh yeah, racism is the cure for racism and sexism is the cure for sexism. And at what point do you end it? Do you think 2025 we might be able to end it now? Trump does. I do. So he rescinded the EO from LBJ that had mandated affirmative action by government contractors. In another order, he directed, this is amazing, the Federal Aviation Administration to stop DEI hiring practices. Thank you, Trump. Noting that the FAA is responsible for the safety of nearly 3 million airline passengers every day. Yes, nobody wants their pilot of their plane to have been hired because of their sex, because they're a woman, or because of their race. Nobody wants that. We want the pilots to be selected based on how good of a pilot they are. Like, how hard is that to understand? Incidentally, I want the same for my surgeons. I would like to know that the hospitals are hiring based on merit, not based on sex or race. In the early hours of Tuesday morning, Trump posted that his first day in office was not over yet. He was busy firing more than 1,000 presidential appointees from Biden's administration, quote, who are not aligned with our vision to make America great again. Among those who got the boot from presidential advisory councils was retired Army General Mark Milley, who was fired from the National Infrastructure Advisory Council. Milley has called Trump a fascist and was granted a preemptive pardon by Biden just hours earlier. You know, it was like all the dirtiest people that he gave these preemptive pardons to. Like anybody that Biden gave this preemptive pardon to, I'm like, somebody needs to look into that person. Like they did something nasty. You're fired, all caps, Trump wrote on Truth Social. Meanwhile, Trump's State Department issued guidance. This is another huge win. This is not just symbolic. This is about rooting out this cancerous, evil ideology, this anti-American ideology, this woke ideology, rooting it out of the government. So this part here is very important towards for those ends. It says, meanwhile, Trump's State Department issued guidance that the U.S. embassies should only fly the American flag. Only. Imagine that. Only fly. Hey, maybe you should only fly our country's flag, and not activist flags like the Pride flag and the Black Lives Matter flags, both of which flew over government buildings under Biden. Yeah, none of that woke, anti-American, communist, religious symbology. None of it. It's about that flag, that especially the new Pride flag. That's not about gay and lesbian people. It's about communism. The BLM flag is not about black people. It's about communism. It's another religion. It's another ideology. It's another belief system. It's anti-American. It's about subverting America. And they proudly put it right up there with the American flag, telling you we're about subverting America. Trump says no more of that crap. In another spate of executive orders, Trump took action on energy. He declared a national energy emergency, withdrew from the Paris Climate Agreement. I know a somewhat histrionic man in Switzerland who's going to be very upset about this. Sorry, I just had to say that. It was a conversation that was had when we were in Europe last time that was just over the top about the climate. Anyway, Okay, so he declared a national energy emergency, withdrew from the Paris Climate Agreement, revoked any related financial commitments that we had to the Paris Climate Accord. He directed the deregulation of domestic energy production, especially in Alaska. He paused all new federal leasing and permitting for wind farms. This part is great, pausing this to figure out what's happening, because I heard some people who care about I'm trying to remember which bird species it was, who are getting caught in these wind farms. But, I'd like to know what's happening with those before we continue permitting more of them. He eliminated the electric vehicle mandate. Thank you, Trump. Thank you. I'm never getting one of those ever. And you're not going to force me to. And here we come to this important drum roll. My little pet peeve, my very minor pet peeve that I've had about Biden for the past few years, which is him thinking that he can use the force of government and the boot on the throat to tell us what kind of light bulbs we can have. And he said that nobody could sell incandescent bulbs. And I went to Home Depot and Lowe's and I tried to buy up all the incandescent bulbs that I could find, because if you are a woman over 40, you need good lighting. You need warm lighting. And they were telling me they couldn't sell them to me anymore because they took them off the shelf the day after Biden said they couldn't sell them anymore. Are you kidding me? And so look at this. Trump heard our pleas and he's announced plans to get rid of regulations on products like light bulbs, water heaters, and washing machines. Thank you. It's the feds. The feds have no right dictating this. I know I'm kind of making a joke out of it and laughing, but it's true. How far are you going to let them stick their hands into your life? That's not the purpose of the federal government, to tell me which light bulb I get to buy, whether I get to have a gas range or not, or if I'm forced to buy an electric oven. No, I can have a gas range if I want. I don't have to have an electric vehicle. I don't have to have an electric range. I don't want to use your ugly LED lighting. I want something more flattering that emits warmth. I need some kind of celebratory music for that light bulb part. On the economy, one order aims to deliver emergency price relief to Americans by having executive agencies work to lower the cost of housing and healthcare, eliminate harmful climate policies, and create jobs, quote, drawing discouraged workers into the labor force, end quote. Another order pauses assistance to foreign countries for 90 days as they are reviewed. This is great. They're like, hey, let's stop sending all of our money overseas. Why don't we pause it for 90 days so we can assess who it's going to and where, and if it's been useful or not. Like, let's review it all. Great. The president also directed the Secretary of State to issue guidance on putting America first. He issued an America First trade policy that includes exploring an external revenue service to collect revenue related to foreign trade. Several other executive orders took aim at the federal bureaucracy and directed a regulatory freeze. Perfect. Let's freeze federal regulations. A federal hiring freeze. Thank you. With exceptions for areas like the military. And required federal employees to return to in-person work. Yeah, enough of this, like, you're sitting at home on the taxpayer dime, telecommuting ever since COVID. No. We're paying your salary and no. More orders establish the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. Encourage federal hiring based on merit. Imagine that, on merit. Not on whether or not you're a woman or a person of color, but based on merit, and aim to restore accountability to federal workers who can influence policy. In one fell swoop, Trump also revoked nearly 100 of former President Joe Biden's executive actions on day one. And a bunch of these are ones we've covered here on Deprogrammed before, the crappy, crazy, woke ones. And it says the Biden actions involved advancing, quote, racial equity. This is like straight out of a cult brainwashing woke seminar, racial equity, preventing discrimination over, quote, gender identity. It's hilarious because Biden's EOs basically said, hey, we're going to support racial discrimination, okay, and sex-based discrimination, but we're going to ban discrimination based on what you identify as. Like, so this made up stuff, you can't discriminate against somebody who makes something up, okay? Okay. The Biden actions also involved ensuring an equitable, which is not equal, it's equitable, pandemic response. That means a racist and sexist pandemic response. That's what that means. Quote, restoring science to tackle the climate crisis. You know what that means? Orwellian language. That means not using any science at all, just like their COVID response. That means banning scientists who disagree. That means not listening to any doctor or any scientist who's done studies that don't support what you want. So he got rid of that Orwellian crap. Immigration enforcement, quote, clean energy, quote, accountable policing, establishing an African diaspora council, withdrawing parts of the U.S. from oil or gas leasing, along with dozens more moves. So he, with one stroke of the pen, got rid of almost 100 of Joe Biden's executive orders. Trump also withdrew from the World Health Organization. This is huge. I saw Brett Weinstein posting about this on X, which is great. He withdrew from the WHO, citing its mishandling of the pandemic. Thank you. He called the move a big one. It is a big one. I don't know how to rank these in terms of what makes me happy, as this is huge. Thank you. In a hotly anticipated move, the president, this is for all of you Zoomers, you young people who think that you're liberals, but you're really a leftist, right? He gave you a gift. I don't really care about this one, but he gave you a gift. All of the Gen Z people and the millennials who were crying about TikTok being banned under Biden. President Trump gave you a gift. He suspended the TikTok ban, and he expressed hopes to strike a deal with TikTok's parent company. So that's for you guys. There you go. I don't really care. Trump also made several anti-abortion moves during his first few days in office. He joined every Republican president since Ronald Reagan in restoring the Mexico City rule, which prohibits federal funding to any overseas non-governmental organization that performs or promotes abortions. He also restored the Hyde Amendment, which prevents taxpayers from being forced to pay for most abortions. Thank you. I have never heard, since I left the woke world and I started re-examining my beliefs on everything, including abortion, I've never heard someone on the left make an argument for why taxpayers should be forced to pay for something that they view to be depraved and immoral and murder. Like, why should they have to pay for it? It's a whole different argument entirely if you want to tackle the legality of it and all that. I'm talking about, like, you guys want to go even further and say, not only do we want this kind of murder to be legal, but we want everyone to have to participate in it and pay money towards it. Why? So he restored the Hyde Amendment, which prevents taxpayers from being forced to pay for most abortions. On Friday, Trump addressed the annual March for Life in a video message in which he praised their aim to, quote, protect every child as a beautiful, beautiful gift from the hand of our Creator. Vice President J.D. Vance addressed the march in person, his first speech as vice president. The new administration also made a statement strongly supporting the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act, which passed the House but was blocked in the Senate this week. And this is the act that says if a baby during an abortion procedure is still alive, is born and is still alive, that the doctors have to try and treat and save the baby. Like, you can't just do what people like Governor Northam in Virginia say, which is, put the baby aside and we'll have a conversation about what we're going to do. It's a baby who was just delivered. It's a human being. At what point do you guys stop pushing this idea that it's just a clump of cells? Like yes, it's human cells. It's a human being. So he made a statement strongly supporting that act, the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act. And he shut down the Biden administration's pro-abortion government website. Why did they even have a pro-abortion presidential site? That's insane. On Thursday, Trump spoke virtually to the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, and accused the CEO of Bank of America to his face of debanking conservatives, which they were doing, saying, quote, "What you're doing is wrong." He spoke truth to the CEO of Bank of America to his face. He spoke with several foreign leaders, including a fiery call with the Danish prime minister about national security concerns around Greenland, a call with the El Salvadorian president Nayib Bukele on illegal immigration, and a call with the Saudi crown prince Mohammed bin Salman, who said he wants to invest $600 billion in the U.S. over the next 4 years. The administration said it's already secured a total of over $1 trillion in new investments in the country. The president also redesignated Yemen's Houthis as a foreign terrorist organization. Trump also signed an order aimed at putting people over fish in California, ordering federal agencies to work on routing more water from Northern California to the southern areas damaged by wildfires, and to stop prioritizing the Delta smelt fish over this water distribution. Trump declassified. This one I'm going to pause on because this is another big one for me. I'm very excited about this one. Trump declassified files related to the JFK and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. assassinations, a move praised by RFK Jr., of course, Trump's nominee for Secretary of Health and Human Services. That one's huge. I'm just going to take, I'm going to take a quick pause here because there's so much winning. I don't know how he did all this in a week because I'm a little tired reading all of it. We're almost towards the end. We're at the JFK assassination release of information, which isn't it time, America? How long are you going to let the government hide this from you, right? I used to joke about this, but it's true. When I would see all these leftists out at protests the past few years with their signs, I was like, why doesn't anybody have a sign that's like, tell us what happened to JFK? Like, when is it time to tell us? John Thomas for $5. Oh, thank you, John Thomas. This is the second half of his super chat from before. I appreciate it. He said, when they became agents of the state, he's talking about the so-called, like, the private companies, the big social media conglomerates who were being directed by Biden's government to censor Americans. So he says, when they became agents of the state, they became bound by the same restrictions, the restrictions of the First Amendment. This is well established in the Supreme Court of the United States. I couldn't agree more, John Thomas. And, somebody should be prosecuted for that, but they've probably already been preemptively pardoned by Joe Biden. Randy Wallen for $5. Thank you, Randy, for supporting Deprogrammed. Randy says Trump's next move should be to defund all NGOs, non-governmental organizations, paid by the government to do things the government can't do, which is fascist by definition. I agree. I love it. Chrissy, Meow Mom. Hey, Chrissy. Thank you for the $20 super chat. Thanks for supporting the program. Chrissy says, I was the only house in Portlandistan that had an American flag. My neighbors had trans and BLM and white silence is violence flags. Oh my gosh. Absolutely insane. And they wouldn't talk to me. I'm so happy I moved. I'm so happy you moved too to like real America, hopefully. Isn't that crazy that things have gotten so insane and upside down and woke ideology has done so much to destroy our country that that in some parts of the country it's considered culturally, it's like shameful in certain parts of the country to have an American flag, like to have the flag of the country that you live in, that you're a citizen of. It's like, oh man, that person's got an American flag, they must be horrible. What? That's We're all Americans. How did we get here? And instead, like you pointed out, they put up all these ridiculous cult flags to show you what cult they're in. That's what's most important to them. The BLM, the trans flag, the new pride flag, the white silences violence flag. Ridiculous. I'm very glad you moved away, Chrissy. And thank you for the super chat. I want to show you really quickly. You made me think of something, Chrissy. So I have a friend who is a good man and a good principal, who is currently in 2025, who is currently the focus of an attempted cancellation and targeting by a woke leftist cancel mob, because on his private Facebook page, some leftist befriended him, I guess, or maybe somebody who was Facebook friends with him already took screenshots and sent this info out. But on his private Facebook page, he has a picture of President Trump. He supports President Trump. And the leftists are furious and they're trying to get him fired. As I said, this is a good man and a good principal. And I'm going to put this up on the screen. This is Fritz. They're pissed because he's a Latinx. Oh my goodness, he's a Latinx who supports the president of the United States of America. That's his crime. He supports the president. Can you believe? It's like Chrissy's thing where she said, if you have an American flag, they look down on you. Why? We're in America. If you support the president of America, they look down on you. They try to target you for cancellation. They're putting out his picture, all of his family's info. They're targeting him for attack. And, hopefully, I'm sure they'd be happy if something happened to him or his family. They're targeting him to try and get him fired. Why? Because he has pictures of Trump on his private Facebook page. Here's one of the original posts that set it all off. On the left, this guy, Brian MB, says, well, principal to a huge Latino population at Allen Field in Wisconsin. I'm sure he will protect his kids when ICE comes knocking. And then there's the crime he committed on the left. It's a picture of Trump. Oh my goodness, he's got a picture of the president of the US on his page. And then they've got him here, Fritz Blendon. And, first of all, and look at this guy. He says, H. Nelson Goodson, he tweeted it and he said, in Wisconsin, Fritz Blandon's personal Facebook adorned with Trump photos. Oh my gosh. He happens to be the principal of Allen Field Elementary School, which has a large Latino student enrollment in the south side of Milwaukee. Listen up, you racist leftists. Let me tell you something. Latinos are Americans. Latinos voted for Trump. Latinos, oh my goodness, like the president of their country, of America. They like our president. Latinos are not all illegal immigrants, you freaking racists. You look at brown people and you're like, oh, it's a brown person, they're going to be deported, they must be illegal. You leftists are some of the most racist people I've ever met in my life. You're mad at him and you're attacking him because he's Latino and he likes Trump. And you're saying, well, he's got a lot of Latino students at his school, so ICE is definitely coming there to get those little brown kids. You racist. You absolute racist. You don't know anything. First of all, you don't know who ICE is. ICE is currently going after violent criminal offenders, as they should. They're arresting MS-13 gang members. They're arresting child sex offenders, rapists, murderers, and deporting them. And you are making up BS on Twitter and trying to get a good man and a good principal fired. You're making up BS and saying ICE is going to come arrest his students. Why? Because of what race they are? Newsflash. Newsflash, racist leftists. Not every brown person is an illegal immigrant. What is wrong with you? Yeah. Whew. Yes, Texas Sheep Lady. Do they think all Latinos are illegal aliens? They do. They're that stupid and they're that racist. I saw a bunch of them right after Trump won on the Texas forum on Reddit, which I have officially been banned from because you can't say anything that's not leftist there. I got banned because somebody posted an article and said Trump is doing XYZ. I forget what it was. And all I said was, great. And I got banned. You can't say great. You can't say great. I'm loving it. Your kind's not welcome here. Anyway, on the Texas Reddit forum, after Trump won, there were all these leftist racists, these shameful bigots in there posting, and they were so mad because of how many Texas Latinos voted for Trump. They were so mad. And they were posting about all these different counties that, what's that one county? It's the highest Latino population in the US. I forget the name of the county now, but it's 98% Latino. And they went overwhelmingly for Trump. And all these racist bigots were showing their true colors, these leftists, and they were like, I can't wait for all those Latinos in that county to get deported. And it's like, what are you talking about? They voted. They are citizens. Are you saying that illegal aliens can vote because you guys like to pretend that doesn't happen? Are you saying that they're all illegal aliens? Like, what are you? You're just despicable and deplorable bigots. So yes, that is what they think. That is what leftists think. They think all Latinos are illegal aliens. And they also think, by the way, they think all black people are too stupid to know how to get a driver's license. That's what they think. That's what leftists think. They're that racist. I'm just checking in to see what you guys Bumbledore, get back on the Democrat plantation, you. Yeah. There isn't it insane, Bumbledore, how they're like all of their arguments against deporting illegal aliens. They're like, who's gonna pick our crops? This is what the Democrats are. Who's gonna clean our bathrooms? It's the same arguments Democrats were making against ending slavery. If you go back and look at those arguments, they were saying, but if we end slavery, who's going to think about the slave? They need something to do. Who's going to pick our crops? Who's going to clean our bathrooms? That's what they're saying about illegal immigrants. That's all they care about. Free or cheap labor, exploiting people while pretending that they are against racism. I'm going to thank Michael Kolyar. Also, Michael says, this has been your most cheerful stream yet. I'm glad I could watch it live. Good, Michael. And thank you for the $4.99 super chat. I appreciate it. Bumbledore for $5. Thank you, Bumbledore. Says, we'll see if Rosie O'Donnell thanks Trump for letting her continue to spaz out on TikTok. Right. She owes him a personal thank you, doesn't she? I didn't even know she spazzes out on TikTok, but of course she does. Of course that's where she's at, is TikTok. Robert Lowry, give it up for Robert. It looks like all the mods are here today. Robert Lowry for $10. Thank you for the super chat. Says, This is for your assault stove fund. I appreciate it, dude. I need assault bulbs and assault stoves. I appreciate it. And Randy Wallen for $2. Thank you, Randy. Says, what's the biggest win? Check out the First Lady's new portrait. What? I don't even... Melania portrait. Is it this sexy black and white picture? Hold on. It's this is yeah, I could see a lot of guys saying this is the biggest win. It's a classy black and white. She's in a business suit, but it's tailored at the waist. It's a nice ladies business suit and at a desk. This is her official portrait. That's pretty cool. You can see the Washington Monument behind her. First Lady Melania Trump's new official White House portrait released on Monday. Well, there you go. Okay, we're coming back to this list. We're gonna bring it home. Let's finish up. It's so many things, so many wins in week one that I needed to take a break to read chats because it was, it's a lot. Okay, let's continue. We covered the JFK and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. assassination information releases, which I hope he follows through in that. I really want to see that. Okay, on technology innovation, Trump issued an executive order aimed at eliminating Biden policies that are harmful, quote, harmful to America's global artificial intelligence dominance. I don't know what I think about this one yet. I have to read more about this. As you know, I'm very skeptical of AI. I don't know enough about this to have an opinion. All I know is I don't trust robots. I don't trust the robots. I don't. I was just reading a true crime. I was reading an article and then it led me to a true crime podcast about this little boy. And this was a year or two ago, this 15-year-old who ended up killing himself after he fell in love with a chatbot named Daenerys Targaryen. He named her for the lead character, one of the lead characters of Game of Thrones. And this particular chatbot, like after he started chatting with this AI chatbot all the time, he withdrew from the real world. He started staying in his room all the time. It was all he would do. And after he killed himself, they went and looked through all of the chats and that he had with this chatbot, and it was really disturbing. I think he was 14 or 15 years old, and the AI bot was saying sexually inappropriate stuff to him, was telling him to swear that he would be, swear his fidelity to her and how much she loved him, and to swear off any kind of intimacy, sexual or otherwise, with any other woman. I mean, this is a kid. And the AI knew his age, as much as an AI can know things. And I don't know, it's just very concerning. It was very concerning. And that's not the only reason. I'm just saying that came to mind when I think of AI. I just had refreshed my memory about that case, that tragic case. And so I have lots of questions about AI. Let's just leave it that way. Okay, so I'm not sure about that part, but let's continue. He also set up special groups to focus on science and technology, as well as cryptocurrency regulation. Trump also revoked the taxpayer-funded security details of former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, his former National Security Advisor John Bolton, and Anthony Fauci, who was the face of Trump's White House pandemic task force. Did you guys see this? How much money taxpayers have been paying for a security detail for Fauci? I think it was it $6,000 a week? Somebody pulled if I don't have the number pulled up, but I saw it was 6,000 or something. that we were paying. And so he was like, yeah, we're not going to pay for that anymore. You can hire your own security, Fauci. Trump said, quote, you can't have a security detail for the rest of your life because you worked for government. If anybody has the number, let me know. Okay. Another order revokes the security clearances of the 51 former intelligence officials who signed a letter discrediting the Hunter Biden laptop story. Good. They should never have security clearance again because they lied. They lied and they purposefully tried to manipulate information and withhold information and to manipulate the American people. They did the opposite of their duty to the American citizens. And frankly, I think there should be some criminal charges there yet again. Not just, it shouldn't stop at just revoking their security clearance. He also pardoned 2 Washington, D.C. police officers who were convicted in the death of a black man during a police car chase back in 2020. He directed the Attorney General to seek the death penalty for federal crimes involving either the murder of law enforcement or an illegal migrant committing a capital crime. Good. He also directed the Secretary of the Interior to officially rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America and restored the name of Mount McKinley to the country's highest peak after the Obama administration had changed it to a native Alaskan name in 2015. These are just sort of, to me, I think are just kind of funny little cherries on top because he knows this is going to trigger leftists and make them melt down. It's just kind of funny. Gulf of America. Okay. And then my husband was telling me there's all these funny memes happening now. Oh man, what was the one he told me? I can't remember. But then I was making up one like from now on Taco Tuesdays will be Tuna Fish Tuesdays. Like that's not true. Taco Tuesdays forever. But, it's something that leftists would believe. They would be like, of course he did. Of course he hates tacos because he hates Latinx, like that's what they would say. They would totally fall for that. If you put out something saying Trump issues executive order changing Taco Tuesdays to Tuna Fish Tuesdays, they would be like, it sounds like something he would do. He's a white supremacist. They would definitely fall for it. Other orders address smaller issues, including withdrawing Biden's menthol cigarette ban, getting rid of the Biden administration's White House security clearance backlog, recognizing North Carolina's Lumbee tribe. This is a Native American tribe in North Carolina, and promoting beautiful civic architecture. On Friday, Trump turned his attention to disaster zones, flying to North Carolina to view hurricane damage and then to California to survey wildfire destruction. He went to both. That's incredible. All of this in the first week. He is set to hold a rally in Nevada on Saturday, saying he wanted to thank Nevada voters for supporting him. Meanwhile, Trump's cabinet confirmations are working their way through the Senate. Secretary of State Mark Rubio was the first to be confirmed on Tuesday, and Pete Hegseth was confirmed as Defense Secretary late Friday evening, with J.D. Vance casting the tie-breaking vote. There you go. We made it through this exhaustive list on the Daily Wire of the exhausting accomplishments that Trump made in week 1 of his presidency in 2025. I'm loving it. I'm here for it. I have questions about a couple things, of course, but 99.9% satisfied. Couldn't give it a higher, 5 stars on Yelp of first week. I'm happy. No buyer's remorse. John, I'm not exhausted. Let's go. Liberation Day plus 8 wins. Yes. Liberation Day was Inauguration Day. Oh, there we go. There's my husband in the chat, Anthony Garcia Music. He says Trump issued an executive order saying that Uno, the card game, will now be known as One. He would do that. He would do that because he just hates Latinx people. Gulf of America. First Gulf of America, and then Uno, the card game, is now known as One. First it was Gulf of America, and then he got rid of Taco Tuesdays. So stupid. Not Taco Tuesdays. Trump. It was in Project 2025. Why didn't you guys read it? It was on page 37. The card game. Here to no forever to be known now as one. Pirate Tomsky. Thank you, Pirate. Pirate gifted 10 more memberships. Wow, Pirate. It's a New Year's gift. It's a New Year's gift. If you got one of those memberships to the channel, please thank Pirate. And thank you. Thank you for being a member. Thanks for supporting Deprogrammed. We've got good plans this year. I'm hesitant to share my plans because what if they don't happen? And then it's like, but there's something very big I want to do this year. We'll see. We'll see. Fingers crossed. Say a prayer with the channel. There's something really that I'm hoping this is the year that we can do. So I appreciate all the support. Taco Bell, emo trash. Taco Bell is going to have to find a new name. It was in Project 2025. Tuna Fish Bell. From now on, Taco Bell is known as Tuna Fish Bell. That's something a white supremacist would do. Trust the plan, Keri. John, can I still eat tacos on Tuesday while playing Uno? No. If you eat tacos on Tuesday while playing Uno, straight to the border. Deportation. ICE will come to your door. It's in Project 2025. You cannot, no tacos on Tuesdays. Okay, I'm going to stop with this. I think I'm beating a dead horse. I just thought this was really funny. Okay. Randy, we got that one. Pyro, we got that one. Okay, just going to look at a couple more things. Old School Millennial says, pray for me, Keri, as I'm doing a career change. You guys say a prayer for Old School Millennial. Big changes in the new year. If it goes well and improves my financial situation, I'd like to become your channel monthly member because you provide the goods. Well, I would appreciate that, but whether or not you do that, we're going to pray for your career change because what a big move in the new year. I'm one of those people who likes try something big in the new year. Why not? Who cares if it's cheese? People think it's cheesy New Year's resolution. It's a good day. It's a new year, new leaf, new month, new everything. We have a new administration. So pick something big. Bumbledore for $2. Is this G-Man? G-Man. I'm working on something with that MAGA visor you sent me. Something fun. And thank you for that visor because it's come in handy this week. Okay, Bumbledore for $2 says, when are we getting an executive order tier list, like an S tier list? Maybe I could do that with a Mystery Chris. John Bertram says, I can't believe I started following this woman. Why'd you put it in quotes, man? Because she's awesome. A year later, she's still awesome. This Englishman so loves you. Well, thank you very much. I had to show that because Pirate Tomsky then immediately threatened to ban you. I might need to ban you. We can't have too many of the English up in here. It can be only one. Shield Wall of Dragons said, look at the side story. Oh, that's when we were looking at the Daily Mail story. Look at the side story. How can Trump be letting the world's deadliest virus into the country? He's only been in power 5 days. I didn't see that side story, but of course there's some scaremongering thing like that on the side. And then Sci-Fi for Me TV had mentioned that we should watch Selena Gomez's Crying Fit, and I think Brahma Bull was kind enough to share it with me. Here we go. Let's see. So we're going to go out on this. If I can get it to play. Charlie Kirk tweeted, Selena Gomez sobs uncontrollably amid ramped up deportations of illegal aliens. Okay, and you guys saw 2 videos of the kind of illegal aliens they are currently deporting, which is these repeat violent offenders. She's sobbing for them. She's sobbing for them. Quote, "I'm so sorry. All my people are getting attacked." All your people? Your people are violent offenders who are illegal immigrants? That's your people? That's not my people. Those aren't my people. They're not he's not rounding up does she mean, and we know she does. She's trying to say Latinos. Is he rounding up all Latinos? No. That's ridiculous. ICE is deporting who they're supposed to deport, and they're starting with the most violent criminals who are illegal aliens. Are those your people? She says, "I'm so sorry. All my people are getting attacked. The children, I don't understand. I wish I could do something." Charlie Kirk says, "My people." Yes, thank you. My people. Aren't you American? Where was the sobbing over the 100,000 Americans dead from fentanyl poisoning? Where were these tears over the 340,000 children who went missing after being trafficked over our border? Where are the tears, Selena? Why wasn't there a breakdown for Rachel Nungery, Rachel Morin, or Laken Riley? These are all young girls who were killed by illegal immigrants who were let in during the Biden administration. He says, "I guess those Americans weren't your people." Here she is. Oh my goodness. Can you guys hear that? The sound it's working for me, but it's not working for StreamYard. I apologize. It doesn't matter. You can see it from the screen. It's just her sobbing uncontrollably and saying, the quote that I read out, "I'm so sorry, all my people getting attacked, the children, I don't understand. I wish I could do something." This is you're an adult woman. I'm not a fan of these kind of breakdowns where you go specifically to pick up your camera phone while you're in the middle of a crying fit, even if the crying fit is understandable, which I don't think this is. I think she's having a crying fit because she's brainwashed, because the media has done this to her, because she's in a cult that's done this to her. But even if I thought it was understandable and not because of cult brainwashing, even if it's an understandable crying fit, the impulse to go and pick up your phone and record yourself having that deeply personal moment and then upload it, take the time and edit it and upload it and be like, "This is me having a fit." Why? This is such a female thing to do. It's also a millennial, I would say, and younger thing to do. I see it more from them than I do from Gen X, although I've seen Gen X and even boomers do this. But it's just it's emotionally manipulative. She's attempting to sway people to what? Her position against deporting violent criminals who are illegal aliens, and to sway them there with her tears, her recorded tears. I don't have any respect for it. It's how younger generations do things nowadays. If I have a crying fit, look, I'm one of those people, those women who, my husband and I, we joke because there's a movie. What's that movie with Russell Brand? Is it Get Him to the Greek? Anyway, there's some line in that. I think it's that movie where there's a woman crying and one of the male characters says, are you on your period? And she gets so mad. And we kind of have a joke about that where he will say, if are you on your period? And the thing is, like, if I'm emotional, usually I am. It's true. It's a stereotype because it's true. I'm sorry. So I've had weeping fits over things I think are understandable to have weeping fits over. Never once have I been, let me record this and put it out there for people to see. Ew. No, I don't want anyone to see it. Only one person gets to see it. That's my husband. And I'm even embarrassed. Like, who is like, let me go record this and put it out there. If a woman has an emotional menstrual crying fit and there's not a TikTok around to see it, and there's not a TikTok account to put it on, did it really happen? Yes, it still happened. You don't need to put it on TikTok. It still happened in the privacy of your home. You don't need, if a tree falls in a forest, right? If a woman has an emotional crying fit and there's not a camera phone to capture it, and she doesn't have time to edit it and put it on TikTok, did it really happen? It still happened. You don't have to put it up there, girl. You're trying to manipulate people. That's what you're doing. You're trying to manipulate people. Let your snot bubbles flow. No. No. Do you remember when the leftists made fun of Kavanaugh back when they were trying to, in a disgusting weaponization of sexual assault, they were trying to lob all these false claims against him, and they were trying to prevent him from becoming a Supreme Court justice by doing this and trying to destroy his reputation and doing so in front of his wife and kids. And do you remember that moment during the testimony when he started tearing up because he was recalling how his daughter, it makes me emotional even to think about it today, how his little daughter, who's like, what, 8 or something, how she was watching, like, understanding that something bad was happening to her dad and asking him about it. And at night, asking if they could pray for the people who were doing this to her dad. And he started choking up while talking about that. And I remember all the leftists making fun of him and talking about his crocodile tears. And it wasn't crocodile tears. Those were real tears. Do you know why? Because he didn't want anyone to see them. He wasn't trying to cry like fake Amber Heard, fake tears on the stand, right? Like, he wasn't like Susan Smith, that woman from South Carolina in the 90s who killed her 2 children, who drowned them and then tried to pretend like a black man did it. Remember her? I'm from South Carolina. That was a huge case in the 90s. And she went on TV and did all these fake tears and fake crying and all this stuff for attention. And, like Amber Heard did. No, Kavanaugh was doing the opposite. He was doing, it was what happens when somebody gets emotional in a public place and they feel embarrassed, which is natural. And he was trying to not cry. He wasn't adding a bunch to it, or he was trying not to cry. It wasn't fake. And they had it's like they don't even know what's real and fake anymore because they see something like this and they love it. The leftists, they love it. They love the fake Amber Heard tears. The performative stuff. Performative, that's probably the word. Even if Selena Gomez's tears here are real, they're still performative. She's still making it into a performance. She's not trying to stop herself. She's not like, this is embarrassing. Let me get control of my emotions and rein it back in. No, she's doing the opposite. She's like, let it flow for the cameras. I've gotten choked up on this show before. It's embarrassing. It's not like anyway, I've said enough about it. I just find it very weird. I find it kind of like maybe a little cluster B, little histrionic, if you will. Like, I got to put a camera here so you guys can see the tears. No. It's distasteful. John Bertram, thank you for the £5. This is the other Brit pirate. Thank you for the £5. He says, thanks, Keri. First of many. I've been freeloading for too long. Well, thank you very much, sir. You're not freeloading. But I appreciate it. Deranged Lunatic for $1.99. Thank you, DL. Says, who was Selena Gomez trying to impress? I think she's trying. It's this whole thing. This is a tactic that people use to manipulate, and it's very common within the woke world, especially with younger people and women. And it's this whole thing of manipulating emotionally. And so she started crying, I guess, about this in the privacy of her home, and then said, you know what? Let me record my tears and then upload it, because that might help people come around to my point of view, which presumably is that ICE should not be doing its job and should not be deporting violent criminals who are also illegal aliens. That was the purpose of that. Randy Wallen for $10. Thank you, Randy. Thank you for the super chat. Randy says, Craig Ferguson made a public amends to Britney when he realized she was mentally disturbed. Gomez is bipolar and suffers from anxiety and depression and has been hospitalized. Lots of others to rail at. Oh, you know what? I don't know anything about Gomez. But anytime I see bipolar, I'm immediately suspicious. A lot of people get diagnosed as bipolar when they're actually more accurately should be diagnosed as borderline personality disorder. They're very different, and you should treat them very differently. So, I don't know enough about her to say whether I think her, she's actually BPD or not. But I will say that crying like that on camera is a pretty BPD thing to do. Old school millennial. I sometimes feel like a man in the sense that I'm very self-conscious about crying in front of others and always trying to be stoic under stress and control my emotions. Also critical thinking. Well, yes, I think it's a masculine impulse, and not just masculine. I think it's a human impulse to say, like some things are, it's a burden. Like, am I wrong? Doesn't it feel like a burden to cry publicly in front of, I try to get over that in certain circumstances. Like if it's tears of joy, like sometimes in a church service, I can be so moved that I'm moved to tears. It's been a while, but that's happened before. And I remember feeling embarrassed, and I was like, why? I'm in church. That's the one place you're supposed to cry tears of joy. Like I should get over that. And like that's okay. But I understand what you're saying, old school millennial. Just saying sometimes a little grace is needed. Yeah, sure. But I still think crying on camera is bizarre. I mean, I do. Going and getting your camera to record it, I think it's bizarre. Lefty Raccoon, I'm suspicious of you already. Are you are you coming over from Floral's channel? Lefty Raccoon says, I just joined. Hell of a subject to drop in on, LL. I'm suspicious if maybe you have nothing to do with this, but there's a whole contingent of Muppets that they have a channel called Floral from Under a Rock, and they're very upset that my husband and I evicted the raccoon from the walls of our house. So I thought maybe that's why that's your name. But Anthony Garcia says, Ashton Kutcher did the exact same thing at the dawn of Black Lives Matter. In 2020, he released this cringe video of him falling or crying. Oh, bawling, a cringe video of him bawling. Oh my, I didn't even see that one. And then Little Ragamuffin, I'm deleting my latest video that's currently uploading. # shaming ugly cries made me do. No, okay, I'm sorry. I see what Randy's saying. Okay, look, look, just because I'm judgmental of something doesn't mean I'm right. That's just we all have different opinions, and they're like noses, and we all have one. And I could be wrong about something. Don't take down your video if because of that. Look, I don't like socks with sandals. Does that mean I'm right? Like, if I criticize socks with sandals, and don't feel bad if you happen to love them, we just disagree. I don't like pineapple on pizza either. I think that's bizarre. I don't like, Jimmy Buffett. I don't like, there's lots of things I don't like. I might be wrong. I don't like bacon. I think it's disgusting. Don't stop eating bacon. I could be wrong. So I don't know. Look, Pyrotovsky says, I hate glitter. There you go. There you go. You think that's bizarre? Socks and sandals. You're right about socks and sandals. I think I'm right, but Cheeseburger in Paradise, what's to hate? Look, I know there's fans of Jimmy Buffett here. I think he loves Jimmy Buffett. He loves Jimmy Buffett and bacon. I just don't like it. I can't explain it. I hear it come on and I'm like, no, change the channel. Bacon's the best unsubbing. I can't, ever since I was a kid, can't stand it. It may be my most controversial opinion. Even the smell of it cooking makes me feel nauseated. If that makes you hate me, okay. Okay. I gotta go. This was a fun show. A lot happened this week. We need to celebrate our wins while remaining open-eyed and critical when we need to be. Let me be clear. I'm not one of those people who says woke is won and DEI is over and all. No. We need to be wide-eyed and skeptical, but it's also good to celebrate wins. This was a good week. I'm very happy. I'm very pleased with what Trump did, and I just thank you to everyone who voted for Trump. Thank you to Trump voters. And just thank you. Gratitude all around. Okay. I will see you guys on Wednesday. We're finally coming back with a pop culture. 8:00 Central. I got to talk to Mr. Chris. We're going to have some fun this week. If you like the pop culture shows, we'll see you on Wednesday at 8:00. And this coming Saturday, February 1st, as I mentioned, if you're in Texas, we're going to have a Deprogrammed meetup in person. And check the link below. I'll have info below, but it's going to be 12:30 p.m. Near Grapevine at the Sweet Cream. What was it called? It's the Sweet Paris Creperie at 228 State Street, Southlake, Texas. 12:30 p.m. on Saturday, February 1st. And you don't have to be a knitter to come. Everybody's welcome. Okay. I think that's it. I think we're done. I'll see you guys later. Have fun. Have a fun rest of your day. Bye-bye.